Alright, today I am I have made a perk system, like in Destiny 2. It also has weapon customizations and, weapon customizations and perks. I haven't posted until I finish this because I decided maybe people would like it more if I posted a fully finished thing first. So here goes. So, first up, we have a perk called Rushing River. By the way, I may or may not go through all the coding logic for all this. This is kind of a lot. Just now I just added checks where they are needed in order to accomplish things. Okay. So, what this perk does is... Oh yeah, I've also added a health system, as well as a speedometer and coordinates. Those last two are for testing, and the health system is because I added 3 different elemental types. I've got water, earth, and fire. Fire does damage, which is why I needed the health system. Okay, so water elements or water elemental things are focused on speed and growth. Earth is focused on resilience and impact, as well as since we are not doing combat yet, that would be things like making crops grow taller or providing you with healing effects. But at the same time, we're not doing combat yet, so no healing effects yet. And fire is power and destruction. Because of the power part, a lot of the fire abilities, in fact, 5 out of 6 of the fire abilities, are based on working with other elements to produce something stronger. You can select 4 perks at a time and 1 weapon customization at a time as well. 1 for each weapon. Okay, so Rushing River. What this perk does is when you run out of water, you this will take a second. When you run out of water, you gain a massive speed boost and drop balls of water below your feet. And these water balls, they increase the growth speed of crops that they land on. And if you have another perk selected called overhydration, they also overhydrate things that are applicable for that. Okay. See? I am much faster now. See those? If you see things appearing in this area, it is because I added a... Oh dear. It is because I added a cube below the ground. Or sorry, a big rectangle below the ground that will catch all, or that should catch everything that falls below the ground and spawn it and teleport it back here. Because I was getting sick of things falling under the ground and not being able to retrieve them and having to start over. Okay, next perk, Slippery. Oh, you may notice, I don't know if I showed this. Oh, what the? Oh, I don't know how that happened. Huh. Well, would you look at that? That's neat. Next perk, Slippery. weapons increase their... Oops. Weapons swing faster based on how much wet you have. Wet being this water symbol where my status effects are displayed. Wet is a buff. It does nothing on its own, but it multiplies the effectiveness of water element abilities. The calculation for that is the multiplier for the wet times the stat, or to the power of the stack count of the wet. That simulates multiplicatively applying it each time. Like, instead of doing 1.1 times 1.1 times 1.1 for every stack in the stack of, or for every number in the stack of the wet, it just raises it to the power. Okay, next perk, Slidey. When you are wet, wait, where did I mod? Oh, okay. When you are wet, you have. Oh, where'd the water ball go? Okay. Let me reload. Yeah, there's a water ball over here for testing. What the hell? Why did the FPS go so low? That's weird. Oh, right. That is because I'll show you that in a second. Okay, Slidey. While wet, you have 0 friction with the ground, or anything actually. You just have no friction. Yeah, for as long as you have wet, you have no friction. Pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy to comprehend, but it's also pretty powerful for many movement abilities. Yes, plural. There are several. Wait, what? I shouldn't be sliding right now. One moment. Okay, I got that fixed. Okay. Next perk, dehydration. Grabbing a crop will dehydrate it. What does that mean? Dehydrated crops are smaller in the seed bag, and thus you can fit more of them. See? Much smaller. The side effect is that they grow slower by default. See? See, that's basically 0. Let me just yank this out of the ground, because that's going to be doing absolutely nothing for us. Okay, the reverse of that is overhydration. It makes crops overhydrated. It makes them larger in the seed bag, and it makes it grow much faster. See, it's much larger. I can only fit 1. Wait, what? That was supposed to grow. How much faster was that supposed to grow? Oh, the growth rate's so fast that it can't comprehend it. Hmm. Oh well. Wait. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. Let me like just get a much smaller growth rate. Well, this one should have a lot lower growth rate. See, it's growing at 0.2. That should be much faster. I think it is. Okay. Next, we have a perk ability called Current Hands. You see that there is like a zillion crops right here. Well, now they are all following me. They're all being, quote, picked up. This allows for more easily transport crops in bulk. It's not very controllable, but it's a lot faster than picking them up one by one. On that note, okay, I was not supposed to pick up that. Let me restart. On that note, I have made a few changes to the cart. There are now these two buttons on it: lock cart and unload cargo. Lock cart locks the cart and all the cargo inside. What that does is it gets rid of any and all rigid bodies inside of the cart, instead of just setting them to kinematic. That is because if I didn't do that, and I had like 1,000 crops, the reason I keep alt-tabbing is because I don't have any other way to go from controlling the game to controlling this. The reason is because if there's like 1,000 crops that you need to move at once, and you try to put them all in the cart, and it tries to move 1,000 rigid bodies at once, you're going to suffer. You just are. And on the other side, I have unload cargo. This removes all cargo from the cart, which is necessary now for using the loading of the shop. The reason I did that is because I was having issues with the seed bag, where it would you would be able to sell crops from out of the seed bag. So the solution I came up with was just, you can't sell crops that have a parent object, which is now why you have to unload them from the cart. It's just, yeah, it's not that big of a deal anyway. Okay, those are all the water perks. Oh, I think this one scales with how wet you are, by the way, Rushing River. Okay, next up, Blessing of the Plants. I forget what this one does. Oh, okay, so Blessing of the Plants, for every seed you have, you gain a, quote, chance. Chance in the same way that the market, or chance in the same way that there is a chance for someone to go to your stall in the market, being a fixed number, and once it passes that number, once it passes that number, it like stops. So if you have, okay, the way it works is when you harvest something, its crop goes into this part, the parts list, with the crop, number of harvestable parts, and local size multiplier. How Blessing of the Plants works is for every seed of the crop type that you are harvesting, So like if you're harvesting corn and you've got 64 corn seeds, well, it will increase this number by 64. So, yeah. Pretty neat. One sec. Okay, I just checked, and that number scales with how much of the dirty buff you have. Speaking of dirty, there is this perk, Filthy. Every time you dig, you are applied dirty. It's supposed to only apply one every time you dig, but I guess you just dig so fast that it applies rapidly. Now, even though it's supposed to be dirty, I went with green because that's the earth element color. Dirty works like wet. Next up, Blessing of the Ground. You jump higher the more dirty you have. As you can see, we're jumping very, very high. Okay, Green Thumb. One sec. Okay, sorry, I was just checking what Green Thumb did. Green Thumb. Wait. Green Thumb also scales with dirty. That is what I was checking. Refresh my dirty. Okay, so Green Thumb. Manually planted crops have increased yield. What I mean by that is they have okay. Is that crops that you manually plant instead of throwing have so there's this number called number of harvestable parts per segment. And what that does is it multiplies the number of segments by that number to get the number of parts or the number of crops that should spawn when harvested. And so if you change that number, then you change the amount of yield. So let me demonstrate. This one has 14 harvestable parts per segment. Yeah. And that'll just give you more when you do it. Okay, next up, Pet Rock. Summons a big ol' rock as a pet with googly eyes. The eyes don't actually Google, but it's very cute. Made this model myself. The pet rock scales with how dirty you are. I don't know where I put the logic for that. I looked and didn't find it, but it's not really important. See? What this guy does is, outside of being a little cute guy that you can take around with you, note he does not have pathfinding logic. He will not automatically follow you or anything like that. He increases the minimum amount of products that will be sold at your store. Like the minimum percentage of your stock that will be sold. How did this move? What the hell? Okay, that shouldn't have happened. There's not really a good way to demonstrate that. But if I enable my shopper and I okay, well, whatever. Yeah, I can't really demonstrate it because it's the amount of stock that will be sold every time is random, but oh well. Okay, next up we have Unkempt Charm. This will increase the amount of dirty, or no, the amount of oh, this will increase the value that crops sell for by how dirty you are. This can be good or this can be bad. It can be good if you are good at this rhythm game. It will be bad if it will be very bad if you are not, because then you will lose more money. Because things will be worth more. Okay, next up, gimbal jets. You may not know what that is, but it's a thing I've heard about in Kerbal Space Program videos. What it does is, first off, it turns off gravity. Second, okay, let me turn this off. Second, it redirects all of your momentum to wherever you are looking when you press the ability button. How ability buttons work is there is a separate button for each of these slots, and I will demonstrate the logic for making them work later, probably. This on its own does not work very well because the movement code that I have has it has built-in friction horizontally no matter what. So in order to get it to move horizontally very well, you need the slidey perk. How do I apply water? Oh right, the water ball. That isn't here right now. Okay. I will apply gimbal jets and slidey. Yep. That's it. Okay. Next up. Elemental heat. Let me just turn this off and on again. Elemental heat multiplies the effects of all other wet effects by, of all other, it multiplies the effects of dirty and wet by, okay, actually no, it doesn't multiply the effects. It increases the stack count of dirty and wet for how much fire you have. 1 sec, let me get a button ready to push in a second. Okay, see, yeah, it takes damage, and if you have more fire on, you take even more damage. Let me go invincible for a second. Now the effects of, or now the max stack count of wet should be higher than it usually is. Usually it is at 10, and now it is, as you can see if you look in the bottom right, it is at 30. Next up, pocket rocket. If you see that brightly colored rocket in the corner, that is what that is. How it works is it consumes the max stack of wet, on fire, and dirty, as well as $500 to summon a rocket at your crosshair. The rocket, it's basically just like a magic mirror in Terraria. It can take you home very fast, and that's it. But it, importantly, takes you home with all of your stuff, because you can load things into the rocket. I made those sound effects myself, if you couldn't tell. Okay, the way the rocket, quote, moves is it doesn't. It teleports. It works, it takes 5 seconds for it to, quote, go up into the air, and another 5 seconds for it to, quote, descend. And by that I mean that's the time I decided would be good for letting the sound effects play. I guess you could grab that. Well, that's not supposed to happen. Oh well. Oh well. Actually, let me fix that real quick. Oh, never mind. It seems that I can't fix it because when I tried to, it wouldn't let me push it. Oh well. Note, it does not spawn a new rocket. It just teleports the existing one. Like, I mean, it doesn't spawn a new rocket on your cursor every time. It just teleports the existing one. Oh, existing one. Okay. Next up, Gust of Steam. So what it does is it makes it pushes things away from your cursor based on your fire multiplied by your water. Like that. See, if you have less, it goes less far. And it also consumes them. Note. I also made it so that it's easier to rotate the cursor now. It's buttons that you just push. You don't have to scroll while pushing them. Or whatever. I also added this tip so you could tell where the forward of the button is. That is relevant because you can blast yourself with this ability, and it is very powerful. And it is kind of powerful if you do. Yeah, kind of powerful. It would go farther if I had more fire. Speaking of fire, crystallization. What this perk does is it consumes all of your dirty and fire stacks to give you health. And not only that, extra health. Multiplies your dirty by your fire. If I time it right, I'll be able to get a bunch of health. See, okay, that pink bar is the amount of health you have extra. It's a very good way to, like, not die, I guess. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, Primordial Flame. Uh, Inarguably the most powerful perk so far. Kind of. What it does is whenever you take damage, it applies 1 stack of fire, wet, and dirty. Oh, come on. Okay, well, for situations like this, I have a button that gives me fire. As you can see there. Let me just restart so I can have the fireball. It's much easier. As you can see here, this gets very out of control very fast. It also raises the stack count to 60 by default. The only way to survive more than like 2 seconds with this is to have the crystallization on. And then you crystallize, and you get a lot of health because it multiplies dirty by fiery. And yeah. Note, the bar doesn't actually go off the screen, it just goes all the way to the edge. There's no visual difference. Now you can also push the button, or now the element, or the primordial flame also comes with a button that raises the stack size by another 60. And you can do this forever. You may... Oh, look, I died. It resets the stack count when you die. How did I have 80 health? That's weird. It resets the stack count default when you die. So that you aren't stuck with super high numbers forever. Now... what this means is you have affected, instead of having to wait for your, what the, what, oh, okay. Instead of having to worry about your timers running out, you have to worry about dying. Constantly. Because if you ever miss the opportunity to save yourself by pressing the button, you just die. Very fast. Also, as you just saw there when my health went up and the buffs didn't go down, sometimes you get buffs in such rapid succession that you can just repeatedly do things that consume buffs. Like the Gust of Wind, or the Gust of Steam ability, or the Rocket ability. And you just don't lose the buffs. I will note, the threat isn't that severe because fire times dirty is always going to be less than, or it's always going to be more than the amount of fire you have. It's essentially fire squared. So it's you're going to very rapidly outpace the zone where the fire damage is actually threatening to you. But not to worry, or not to worry about game balance. There is this. So, you may notice, I'm looking at the ground because the night sky is pitch black, and so is my frame per second text. You may notice every second or so the game hitches for a little bit, and the frame rate is going down quite a lot. That is because it is trying to create an obscene amount of objects every couple of seconds, and that and it is also destroying them in roughly the same second. And that causes a lot of lag. Like, a lot of lag. I'm not going to fix that, though, because I find it kind of funny how you can... how this perk is balanced by how far you want to push it. Another part of being balanced by how far you want to push it, let me demonstrate, is this. You can push yourself so far that you start experiencing floating point errors. And you're never coming down from here without dying. Which you probably won't be doing because there's nothing to damage you up here. Oh hey, the sun's rising. Not that I can see it. Oh. That is my family arguing in the background. Okay, whatever. It seems I can't move the camera. Oh. Oh, wow, look, I'm getting such intense floating point error that the UI is shaking. Yippee! This exact situation is why I added is why I changed the buff 0 test button to buff 3 test, which is buff 3 is fire. It's so you can die and respawn, or have enough fire to push yourself back down to earth, because there's no other way of getting down. You will never get down here. So this is a very overpowered ability, except in the fact that it removes all ability for you to do anything precisely, because the numbers are just so big. And without managing properly, it will kill you. If you manage it too properly, you will never die, but then you never respawn. And that's a problem if you push yourself all the way up here. About... Is that 300,000 or 3 million? Oh, I'm still going up. Yeah, about that many in the air. Oh, there's also a... Okay, I'm just not gonna bother trying to get back down. You get the idea. Let me see if there's anything else I had in my notes for that. Nope, that was it. Okay. It also basically requires you to use up an additional perk slot if you want to have any chance of surviving at all. There's also a sound for the gust of wind, and Let's see how far I push that fireball. Oh, it fell under the world. Let's try that again. Yeah. Thousands away. You lose all ability to do anything precisely. Let's demonstrate this with Slippery. Am I swinging at all right now? I should be... Oh! Oh no, it's just instantaneous. Let's see just how instantaneous that is. Oh, it's so instantaneous that it doesn't even hit it. Yeah, good luck doing much. Let's demonstrate with Rushing River. Let's see how fast this one makes you go. Almost there. Consumed all the fire, but that's okay because we only need the water to test this part. Oh, you just immediately go to the floating point error dimension. You go to 6.9, or you go to 6 with 10 zeros behind it in the x coordinate. Immediately. Oh, and I've fallen so far that I am not going to be caught by the thing that's supposed to catch you. Well, that's fun. Okay. Okay. Oh, God, what is causing all of this? Okay, I think it's gone. Okay. Now, let me demonstrate some miscellaneous stuff. Plants now boot up instead of instantly creating all of their objects at once. This is so that extremely large plants, like plants with thousands of crops, or like plants with thousands of segments, don't crash the game. Instead, they just take a while to get ready. Let me demonstrate. If it is over 1,000, if it is greater than or equal to 1,000, it will display a message. And if the frame rate goes too low, then it will display another message highly suggesting that you yank the crop out of the ground immediately before it crashes your game. Here's the message saying, or here's the message criticizing you for having such a large crop that it's going to take, well, for 1,000 segments, it takes about, if we were at 60 FPS, it would take 16.7 seconds. Oh, we've got below 15 frames. It's suggesting to pull it out of the ground now. Now, if we wait, it will grow just fine and not cause very much lag. But if I were to pull it out now, it will say this. And then about 20 seconds after pulling it out of the ground, which should be enough time for anyone to read that, it will delete, like, the entire thing. Because I'm not about to leave something with that many objects just there, doing nothing. Now, if I didn't make that change, that 1,000 segment tall plant would have crashed the game immediately. But because I did that, it did not. I think I was doing testing where I made like a 10,000 tall segment plant. Fun fact, that would be about, or a little under, twice as tall as Olympus Mons, the tallest mountain in the solar system, which is so tall that, well, you can't exactly see how tall it is because it's kind of really wide. Like, so much that you won't really notice it. It's like, actually, let me. Yeah, it was 40,000 meters in the air. That's how, or sorry, yeah, the 10,000 segment crop was 40,000-ish meters tall if we are counting units as meters, which I think most video games do, even if it's not entirely accurate. And that, fun fact, would only sell, like if you sold all of the corn in that, 10,000 pieces of corn, you would get only $5,000. It was so tall that it started experiencing floating point issues a little bit, and it would only sell for $5,000 because corn sells for 50 cents a segment, which is insane because you could just get more from tourism. Yeah. Now, let me demonstrate the weapon customizations, or tool customizations. So, first up, the hull customizations. This is the eroder. It drastically increases the range at which you can hoe, but also drastically increases the drain rate, but also drains water from your watering can. The idea is it's like it's like a pressure washer, as indicated by the display. Next up, undigging hoe. It undigs. Like, yeah. It places instead of digs. And then, oh god, we have a rocket hoe. It pulls you forward and also increases the radius so that you can fly through the ground without running into the ground all of the time. Mostly. Like, you can fly forward without running into walls on your left and right. Maybe not walls in front of you, but it should be good enough. The speed increases with how much fire you have So let me demonstrate that. It applies a constant acceleration. Oh, right. I actually used up all the fire. One sec. It applies like an acceleration or something. Oh, that. Okay, well, I've never tested this with 60 fire before. It has always ever only gone up to 10. So, yeah. Like I said about you losing all precision with this thing. You lose. Yeah, I mean, you even lose precision in the form of floating points. Okay, next up. Crop loading scythe. If you put your bag down, equip a different weapon, and then pick the bag up, you have the bag on you, and then crop loading scythe automatically loads seeds into your scythe. Auto planting scythe automatically plants crops. It just turns their gravity on, so they just plant, like immediately. Homing scythe does this. I said does this. Pretty cool. You can even call it back to you like Mjolnir. See? Okay. Next up. Oh, one sec. Okay. What this does, wet explosion, summons a water ball. The water ball is supposed to be like an explosion, which is why it only lasts for like a few seconds. It replaces your crop with a water ball that increases with how wet you are. And I think also applies more wet based on how big the ball is. And it is very effective at watering crops, as evidenced by how much faster that thing is growing. Now we have exponential growth. Which does this. Every seed you throw out increases in max growth size by how many seeds are in the bag. See? And if you have a lot of seeds in the bag at a time, and you like throw them all out, yeah. What the? Wasn't supposed to do that. Oh, I must have accidentally grabbed a plant with my bag somehow. Alright, well, yeah. This is the reason I added the whole plant booting system. Well, this and blessing of the plants, I think. Okay. Next, we have Oh, right. Go, little scythe. Oh, well, that wasn't intended, but whatever. It summons a fireball, or it places your crops with a fireball that increases with how much fire you have, and harvests crops. And if you have and if you have dehydration, it will explode the crop, or it will dehydrate the crops. If you have overhydration and you do the wet explosion one, it will overhydrate the crops. Speaking of hydration, we have pressurized can. This one is actually kind of a mid ability. Let me reload. What pressurized can does is it increases the range at which the can water, but decreases how much it waters each plant by. So that you can water multiple plants in parallel. I think the radius increases with how much wet you have, or the length. Yep. So now I can water both of these crops. If I can line this up, but yeah, you get the idea. Oh, wait, no, I already showed how watering works when I revealed the watering can. Okay. Next up, we have the thickening can. What does this one do? One sec. Okay, what this one does is it increases the it changes the number. So when you harvest a crop, it will be slightly smaller than crops are by default because of pests and something. So with this, it will increase that number so that you don't have to worry about that. It also makes the plant thicker to visualize that. Now let me show you the size of these seeds. Yeah, very large. Very large. Next up, firing can. This one is very unique. What? Oh, I had the scythe out. Let me restart so the plants I have are on the ground. Okay. Firing can. Once this finishes booting up, you will see what it does. So, check this out. The plant is now growing backwards. And if I keep watering, it will grow, and if I keep firing instead of watering, it will grow backwards further. And then eventually turn back into a seed. If you have dehydration on, it will dehydrate. It will let you dehydrate the seed. And once it goes back to a seed, it is fully reset and will grow normally. This perk, this customization is useful for, like, if you want to, or if you accidentally dropped something. Come on. Okay, and if I water it normally, it should grow normally again. Okay, I didn't time that right. Okay, so, okay, default. Okay, that didn't work. Ugh. I hope you can't hear that music right now. That's my family playing it. Okay. Okay. Oop. Hey, see, it's growing back normally now. So, like, it doesn't delete the segments until it is all the way back down to the seed, so that you can undo the firing. Okay. Yeah, that is all of the perks. Okay, I'm gonna. Okay. Yeah, that is all of the perks. How much time have I been recording for? An hour! Yippee! Okay, now let me show how I have programmed some of this. So here's the main perk logic script. We've got all the hoe customization, reference to the perk menu so that things can tell when this menu is open so that they don't trigger. Things like the hoe customizations could be a bit problematic if they triggered while you were selecting stuff. We have the water and fireball prefabs, hoe slot image, slice slot, seed bag, and watering slot. That is for the purposes of changing these when you select something. It's used in the whole system where you can only select one perk per slot, and then it'll set the image to it and gray that perk out for other things. Yeah, and that's part of the reason that there are that all four of the perk slot menus are visible right now. It is because they have to all be visible, they have to all be loaded from the start of the scene. Like, loaded for like a frame at the very start, otherwise they will not do the thing where you can't select the same perk in other perk slots, which would be very problematic because then you could select some of the same perk, or because then you could select a bunch of the same perks, which for certain things would be very overpowered, and for certain other things like pet rock, which there's only one pet rock in the world, would be very problematic on my end and not necessarily on the player's end, because I didn't program that part. I didn't program 4 different pet rocks. I only programmed 1. Okay, then there is the list of perk images. This is how it sets the image. Then there is the integer, or the integer for which slot, or for the slot for what perk it has. So like perk 1, or so like slot 1 having perk 10. This is so I can keep track, or this was initially so I could keep track of which image should be set to which slot, but it also lets you trigger abilities. It's used in the triggering of abilities. It's also used in turning slot things off again. And so is this. And so is... Oh, no, this is the static reference to the perk logic. Here's an event. This updates all instances of the image on each button. Oh, this is so you have a. This is so it can update all the instances of each button's version of the thing to be grayed out and unselectable. Here are all the perks. Rushing River, Slippery. Here's all the stuff for Slippery. Perk 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All of them. This is for the rocket. These are so you can, or these are to check if. These are to. I'll show later. Yeah. Here is the customization chooser for the hoe, scythe, seed bag, and watering can. So the butt.
Can you help me really quick? Please?
Oh god. What the? Okay, whatever. My sister needed me to hold measuring tape. What was I talking about? Oh right, I was going over this. Oh right. So for each of the buttons, this is for each of the buttons, it's like this. Why? With the same thing?
Yes. I realized I was measuring inside the door. I need to.
You remembering what?
Just hold on. Okay, go to that wall. Okay, don't do it that way. You're curving it.
Carving?
I'm trying to measure street. Please.
Oh, from this part to
Yes.
that part.
So close the door and stand on the opposite side. Stand on the opposite side of it. Yes. Close it. Do not let go, please. That hurts really bad.
Anything else? I'm recording something. Oh. Oh, I wasn't recording. Okay. So here is the Uh, yeah, here is. I have it as try get component because I only have to get the component once instead of get component here, get component there. I only need to get component once and then I can just use it again. This is the part that does the default max stack, hoe customization logic, gets the component here through the animator so I don't have to add more references, I guess. Or gets it through the animator's object, which is the hoe. Okay, if customization is 2, set it to be, or set it to place dirt instead of air. If customization is 3, set it to, oh, hang on. My boyfriend was texting me. This is the radius thing for the rocket hoe. This is the logic for the, oh, hang on. He was texting me again. Okay, this is the watering can stuff. If you, this is the pressurized, this is the part that increases the scale with the watering can. This logic also exists in the wet buff. Like for every time it gets more wet added. This resets the scale. If the watering can customization is 3, it inverts the watering can sign, or the watering sign, which will cause the plant to grow backwards. Note, the whole plant growing backwards thing was actually, I actually intended that from the start of when I made the plant growing thing. That is why I made the float that controls the part along the plant where it is, or how far along the plant has gone from point A to point B. That's why I made that able to be changed, and it changing the place it's at instead of just being like an animation or something, so that the plant could grow backwards. And now it has finally grown backwards, and it's really cool. I really like it. I had to copy so much of the code all over again and change a couple things just to make it go backwards and not have speed bumps or have issues where it wouldn't grow backwards at all, or many other things. One sec, he's texting me again. Okay. Perk 1 logic adds the. This is called by the watering can once it runs out of water. See? And it applies effect 0 to the player, which is this object. Effect 0 is the rushing river effect. Perk logic 2, if you are wet, increase the animation speed of everything. If not, set it all back to 0, set it all back to 1. And if this perk is disabled, also set it all back to 1. Next, all the rest of the stuff from here until perk 14 is it's triggered inside of functions like here, perk 7 perk 8. Yeah, it's triggered like this, where it is checked for inside the area it needs, or inside the area it is applicable. Perk 14, if you have fire, if you have wet, or if you have wet, or sorry, if you, this is the thing where it increases the max stack of wet and dirty. Wet or this is how it works. And this is the undoing. These are the abilities. It triggers this, but with its associated slot. So first it clears perk state, which is a list containing the state of every perk that is selected. So like, it'd be like 10, 13, 2, 18, and then it gets the, which one it is via like, this would be like, if perk slot 1 is 13, if it is triggered from button 1. So if it is 13, this is the gimbal jets. I think, yes. Current velocity is vector, or current velocity is a float. It gets the speed, which is velocity, which is linear velocity dot magnitude. Linear velocity instead of angular velocity. Angular velocity is spinning. Linear velocity is moving in 3 dimensions, or I guess 4 maybe. I don't know if they have that. I don't think they do. Then again, they have quaternions for 4-dimensional rotation, so it wouldn't surprise me. Okay, magnitude. Linear velocity dot magnitude. Oh, yeah, that's the speed. And then it sets the linear velocity to forward based on where the camera is pointing, multiplied by the speed. If perk, if it's 15, fire buff. What? Oh, this is the rocket. So if it is greater than or equal to max stack count, yada yada, wet buff, same thing. Dirty buff, yeah, dirty check. And this is like, if it isn't even on the thing, then it'll say it's false as well. Money check, if you have at least $500 or whatever currency we're going to be using, then you can, or then the money check is true. And then if fire, wet, dirty, and money check are all true, it teleports the rocket to the cursor's position, but at 29 Y height. So that you don't like spawn it in the air. And also so you don't see the bottom of the rocket. So I can be lazy with the modeling. So it says it at the position X, 29, Y, in position Z. Hang on. I was checking if he texted me yet, or saw my message. And then it sets the rotation via local Euler angle, which I didn't know you could just set it like that. I also didn't know you could just set it to the world's Euler angle. That's instead of local. If you ever get the chance to, if you ever need to rotate something, use Euler angles. Don't use quaternion. Euler angles is so much simpler. Euler angles is just this stuff. Quaternion is like an extra number, and sometimes you have to use that extra number, even when you probably shouldn't have to. And it's so much more complicated. I don't know why they even have that. I don't know what it's for, but whatever. So it sets it to 0 on the X and Z rotation, and this is so that it is rotated towards the cursor. Oh, hang on. This shouldn't open the door. That's an issue. Let me check something. Because it should open the door every time. Let me make sure that it does. Here's the graying out I mentioned. No, it does not trigger the door open animation. Okay, I'm going to fix that real quick. Okay, so that took way longer than I would have liked to fix. How I fixed it? I didn't. I just made you open the door yourself. Side effect of that is that you can now close the door. Like, without launching the rocket. Which I guess could let you hide from enemies, maybe. I don't really care right now. I really don't like that I can see the button. Hang on. Okay, that's better. Yeah. Okay, perk 16. That is the Gust of Steam. How this works is it applies a it goes into the cursor logic. I had a script on there that it's actually a bit neat how it works. I'm going to show it. So how it works, this is the thing that does it. Changes the force to the force, turns activate to true, plays an audio sound, waits a fifth of a second, and then sets activate to false. Activate is like that because it is a bool in a on trigger stay, which causes every object in it, if it has a rigid body, and activate is true, applies a force with an explosion radius of I should probably set this to be fixed again. Whatever. With an explosion radius and force based off the force, and it is located at the cursor. I use an explosion because it automatically pushes things at an angle if they are at an angle relative to it. So I don't have to worry about pushing things diagonally. It'll just do it. And then it sets, and then to quote consume the buff, it just sets the timer to be like 0.1. Okay, perk stage 7 or perk 17. This is the crystallization. It just adds more health, consumes it. Let me go to the health system. Health system works like this. It's mostly just this float here. Yeah, if invincible is not true, then it does all this. Sets the health, blah blah blah. If you have no health, teleport back. It's like instant. It's like that instant respawn game rule in Minecraft because I think it is funny. It's like it's funny in the same way slapstick is. I think. Like instead of dying, you just teleport. uh, health equals max health, and then sends out the pulse for death, so that effects can be removed. Uh, if you take damage, which is indicated by the new value being less than the old value, which is this, until it is set to the new value. If perk 18 is on, add 1, 2, or add these effects to the player. Wait a second. This is on the player, so this. That game object. Just so you know, it's better to not have references when possible because that slows things down a little bit. Okay, and then if health is greater than max health, if the health bar is not on already, turn it on, and then set the fill amount to this. Yeah. This should be roughly equivalent to how much health is drained in the health or in the regular bar. You shouldn't really notice a difference in fill level. And then this turns it back off. And then there's invincible, which is for usually it's mostly for testing purposes, so I can have fire on without getting damaged. And perk 18, increase the max stack by another 60. And then, yep. And then in every perk, in every status effect, I don't think I added that in the. Hang on, status effect, rushing river. Did I? I did. Okay. Yeah, they will all be removed on death. Okay, I think that is everything. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. But again, how would I remember if I was forgetting something? Did I make any more changes to this? Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, yeah, that is everything. I hope you enjoyed this 1.5 hour long video, even though you probably didn't, considering it's that long. Or I guess if you made it all the way to the end, you probably really enjoyed this. You freak. See you later. I've got to go to the bathroom and not work on this anymore today because my neck is hurting. Goodbye.